Oh man. What's up? What's up to anyone just joining? Feel free to say hello. The theme of this week has been jump rope and key techniques that I've demonstrated in the video that is playing. So once again, do say hello if you are so inclined. Otherwise, just hanging out is cool too. Hey, Truncheon, how are you, man? Good morning, I guess it is for you. Am I correct? Yeah, technically. What did you say it was? Like 7 hours? Was it like 2 a.m. or something? Ah, okay. So 5 hours. How goes? You keeping well? Ah, that's right. That's right. Okay. Yeah, I remember you typing it or something like that, but that makes sense. So what's going on? Things good? I'm doing pretty well. Not feeling 100%. Not sick or anything, but just my diet was, I don't even like calling it my diet. The way I eat was thrown off today. It's that time of year where you're just surrounded by crap And, I ate some garbage. And then whenever I do, which is pretty rare, but whenever I do, I'm just like, ugh, I can feel it and it's the worst. Okay, well, man, it sounds like you're worse off than me. I'm just feeling, I don't know, the effects of said food, but that's too bad. So, what do you have, like the flu or something? Or is it more like emotional or physical or both? And for anyone else just joining in, welcome. Well, that's good. And I do have to say as well, I've been a bit rattled today as I did find out that a girl that I know and don't know well, but grew up with, had taken her own life a couple days ago. So it was pretty sad, actually. It's kind of a weird feeling when it's someone that you know. Like I said, I mean, I didn't know her that well. Went to elementary school with her, went to high school with her, and then really beyond that, I don't even know that I saw her after that. But I have friends that are her friends, and that kind of thing. But yeah, it is really sad. I couldn't believe it. I was pretty shocked. So that was somewhat startling, in all honesty. But what can you do, I guess? So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I did not know that. But the crazy thing is, I believe it. It's crazy that it doesn't really sound that far-fetched. But, it could be one of those days. I see you've written here, irritable, on edge. We all have those days. And sometimes you just don't know the source. Yeah, it's things like that. I mean, they're there, but I guess you just get wrapped up in your life a lot of the time and then just don't acknowledge it. Or I'm sure some ignore. Yeah, the random facts, yeah. The random fact machine. I'm sure you have no issues generating conversation. And I can actually say that because we very seldom have issues conversing. Which is kind of cool. But that's all it takes. You just, recite what you hope will be an interesting fact for the recipient, and then who knows where it goes. The hard part comes when you actually no, you know what? I've had this thing for like 3 years, but I just never wore it. And then since I've started running, I've been wearing it to time my runs and also with the stretching. And as you know, the treat and prevent back pain area, I've been stretching anywhere from 1 to 2 hours a day for the past, I don't know, 9 to 10 days. Because I'm, not only because of the running, but I'm just so sick of back pain. And it's still at that point where I can do something about it. And all this stretching is helping a lot. So, but it's also helping the running side of things too. So anyway, I hold a stretch for 4 minutes. So I put the timer, the timer on the watch and hold it for 4 minutes. It beeps, I reset and repeat. So that was a long-winded answer. Not a new watch, but I guess new to wearing it. And it's also red, which doesn't, which doesn't really go with everything. So it's kind of tough to wear it, I guess. But it's the Elevate Your Craft colors, so. A little bit different from my color choices with clothing. It's usually just black, blue, and gray. But I like G-Shock too, they're nice. And I've also had issues wearing watches. I've never really gotten used to them. It's all good, man. Deep is good. Deep's where it's at. Deep is where the substance is. Well, the first thing is, well, I don't know if it's the first thing, but a really good thing to do is, and I'm not saying that you do or don't, whatever, but is tell the truth. And I mean that in every respect. So to yourself, to others, even if they're extremely hard truths, tell them to yourself and whoever. And it might take you a while to discern what is truth, what isn't. That'll give you clarity. Then if you feel like you're a lot of chaos, a lot of stuff going on around you that you can't control, you kind of feel overwhelmed, just break it into smaller pieces. You know, it's true, man. It does set you free. I'm telling you, it's incredible. But like, start at home, your room, clean it. Okay, well, there you go. That's one thing. That is, there you go. That's a great example. And then just write these things down. There can be, 2 or 3 really big ones, or 1 really big one, or 22 small ones, but every single thing, no matter how small it is, whether it's considered a white lie or any untruth, you just stop telling it. Because it just, I don't care how small it is, it just manipulates the world. It distorts your own reality. And it just starts a path to very, very dark places. That's one thing. But then where I was going with the other one was like, things are overwhelming, or if there's too many things going on that you can't control, just narrow your focus and look at small things around you. Like, how are you conducting yourself? Are you a slob? Are you not a slob? Are you even able to keep your own house? How's your desk? How's your room? How do you treat what you own? Do you own too much crap? Do you have a whole whack of stuff you don't need? Get rid of all that crap. Figure out what your values are. What do you value most? What states do you like to feel? Whether it's, like for me, I have my own values that I've actually articulated. I've written them down. And I think they should be in my phone too. Yeah, so as an example, mine are wellness, honesty, responsibility, sacrifice, my word, the unknown, family and friends, and then growth and progress. So everything I do, and they can be modified and all that kind of thing, but if there's sort of a lens that you can look at things through and then align yourself to them. But yeah, if there feels like there's a lot out of your control, too much is going on, you got to narrow your lens and just focus on, a day from now, or a month from now, or 3 months from now. And that's a really good way to deal with issues, tragedy, challenging times. You narrow the time frames, or you shorten the time frame. But the truth thing is a big one. And there's a really good quote from Jordan Peterson. What did he say? And he's someone you should check out, man. His stuff is incredible. It's on my computer. It's like, most people do not think what they think is thought. I'm butchering it. It's actually self-criticism. So to think is extremely difficult. To actually think is very difficult and takes a lot of effort. And then one thing I do, and I'm pretty good at it now. I'll turn this music down a bit. Is just write down your thoughts. Everything. How you think, what you think, what you're doing, anything. Just write it down. I've written hundreds and hundreds of pages of just my mind, who I am, like my past, everything, not everything, but a lot of what I've done, any significant events that have occurred in my life. What were they? What did I do? Why do I think I did what I did? And then you just go through all that kind of stuff. And it takes time, but it's extremely powerful to do that kind of thing. Even if it's like 15 minutes a day, I highly, highly suggest doing that. There is even one day I remember where I wrote, I don't know, like 12 pages or something, and it was just like, what do I like about myself? You list all the things. What do I not like about myself? You list all the things. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? All that, just like absolutely breaking yourself down as much as you possibly can. And you're just like, damn, that's pretty cool. And they're all pretty hard things to do. But anyway, I hope that's useful. But the truth thing is a big one. Oh man, did you miss all that? I just went on like a 5-minute rant. Where did you, what's the last thing you heard? Oh, okay, cool. Well, if the truth thing is where you left off, I'll try and kind of remember what I said, but oh, okay. Yeah, I'll try and rehash what I was saying, but the truth thing is huge. You know, no matter what size it is, the truth, how you conduct yourself, that is a really big one. But like your own internal voice and how you behave is very important. And then what did I talk about? Oh yeah, like chaos, like the external world. If it's very chaotic. Okay, yeah, you missed a fair bit. You know, if there's too much, a lot going on that you don't think you can control. It's really important to shorten your time frame, and then kind of like start inward. You know, like, are you keeping your own house? Are you able to keep and maintain your own, you know, room? Or if you have I think you remember, excuse me, I think you said you live with your parents, but you know, if it's your room or something, do you have all this crap that you don't need? Is your room filthy? Are you even able to take care of yourself? You know, or does someone have to take care of you? You know, once you get to that place where you can't even take care of yourself and you have to rely on other people to do it, that's not the best place to be. So start small. Just like take things that you can control, no matter how small they are, and then do them. And then you'll kind of get a sense of control and progress, and then, you know, let it expand over time, because you have to narrow. Anytime there's tragedy or huge issues or stuff like that. Yeah, and I mean, that's also, it's a good thing, but it's also, it can go the other way. You know, reality is, I'm kind of like that too, but reality is we need others. And then also values. That's something I also mentioned. Like I've written hundreds and hundreds of pages on just trying to get to know myself. So one of the things, like I was saying, is on my phone I have my values. So just states you like to be, or states you value, things you value the most. So mine are wellness, honesty, responsibility, sacrifice, my word, the unknown, family and friends, and growth and progress. So do you know those things? Like, do you know what you value? If not, you know, it's good to figure them out, because they act as a lens that you can align yourself with, and then generate meaning in the things you do, we talk about getting to know other people, but rarely take the time to actually get to know ourselves. And it's a hard thing to do. It takes effort, it takes time, but it's extremely valuable and rewarding. I mean, they don't have to be states, like states of being. They're more, I guess, like conditions, or they can be states of being. But things that you value, like a good place to start is like, what do you like most? If it's knowledge, that could be one. If it's helping others, if it's kindness, if it's challenge, but yeah, if you're not sure, think about it, man. Articulate it, get it down on the page. And then the do it 15 minutes a day thing was writing. Just write anything. Yeah, loyalty, there you go. That's a great one. But write anything on your mind down. Just write what you're thinking. Write like anything that you could think about yourself, your personality, your attributes. Like, I don't know if you missed this when I was saying it before, but like one day I wrote 12 pages of, I just said, okay, what do I like about myself? Wrote pages, whatever, all the things I could think of. Okay, what do I not like about myself? Wrote, okay, and then what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? Who's the person I want to be? Are there any mentors, or are there any people out in the world that have the attributes that I want? I've looked at like a lot of the events of my life, going right back to as far as I can remember. Okay, what happened? What do I remember? How did I act? What happened? Why do I think I acted in the way I did? What could I have done better? How has that occurrence shaped my life since then? All that kind of stuff. And I can't even tell you how much I've written. And it's amazing. Once you get to know those things, just gives you a sort of an inner stability, an inner foundation. It gives you order, it gives you something to stand up against the world as it throws its slings and arrows and all that kind of stuff. And then I mentioned, doing it 15 minutes a day doesn't take much. But then you become addicted to it. At least I am. I think you would, because it's a really beneficial exercise. So, if today's a bad day, just try and figure out why. Just ask yourself, why do I think this is a bad day? And then write it down. And the best thing is you just get better at it. Your writing becomes clear, your mind becomes clear, your thinking becomes clear. And you don't judge it either. Like, that's something, I'm not sure if you would have heard this either, and Jordan Peterson, I mentioned a quote by him, but his stuff is amazing. Like, if you check out YouTube or whatever on his works, like, a lot of why I did this is because of his work. It doesn't matter where, just pick a spot. The hard part is starting, but once you start, it's easier from there. Literally, it does not even matter. Just start somewhere, pick something, whether it's today, the events of today, or whatever, the first thought that comes to your head, start there. Once you get going, it becomes much easier. Like this green paper here, this is what I write everything on. And I don't keep it all, it's not this massive compendium or anything like that, but I think there's a lot of value in just getting it out onto the page. So I have a little bag with me that I keep. Well, it could be that you've got to try and develop a clarity in your thinking. But I mean, a lot of the quote that I. Sure, you can. I can pick one for you. Just, I don't know. Why do you think, why is today a bad day? And there you go. Start there. But going back to Jordan Peterson, I don't know if you would have heard this quote. But I'd have to find it. It's on my laptop. But he basically says that to actually think is something that's very difficult. It takes a lot of effort to do. What most people call thinking ends up just being self-criticism. So maybe that's it. Anything you kind of think of, you're automatically judging or dismissing. Which I can say I did for myself, that I've done a lot in the past. Clarity is, I can't overstate, I should say, the importance. In really anything, especially concerning yourself and how you interact with yourself, but then also how you interact with others, because the two are very, very intertwined. It's crazy thinking back, like how much I used to do in order to appear a certain way to a person or to others. It was staggering. And I mean, I think that's something we all do to a degree, because we're social beings. I mean, how we appear is important in what we do for ourselves and others, but you know, it's just crazy when you actually think of what motivated you to do, you know, whatever it is, how you looked when you went out with friends, or what you said to someone, or the way you reacted in a certain situation. And you're like, okay, if you actually stop and break down, it's like, why did I actually do that? Was it because that's what I believe to be, you know, true, or that's... And that's a good thing. It's good to know that, though, right? Like, if it could also be you don't do it because you want to hide how you are, right? Like, I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm you know, thinking out loud here. Because if kind of the same all the time, or before, I think I tended to be very difficult to read or like emotionally connect with people. So it can, you know, that alone, it's like, well, there you go, right? So, but that's the beauty of actually thinking about these things and asking questions about it, and asking yourself questions, and then going back to truth, being truthful about them. Because once you acknowledge it, it's amazing. Like, when you know the truth and you can articulate it and then live it, that's the good stuff. So there you go. That's, if you do find you do hide it and you're afraid of ending up homeless, well, that may be a big one. That might be the first on the list, right? Or something that is affecting how you feel on an hourly basis or minute, whatever, that you want to really, really clarify with yourself. And then live that truth. And then anything you do right, anything you do clarify in your own head, just don't judge it. Oh, hey, don't worry about it, man. That's part of, my prerogative too, is to just have good conversations with people and do the best I can to have a positive impact in the world. Life's hard enough. If I can reduce the amount of suffering in the world, even by a fraction, then I'll be happy. But it's good to open up about those things, right? Like, again, going back to that girl I mentioned, obviously she was having issues, and I don't know the story, but maybe she just wasn't able to connect with anyone, or who knows? I mean, I can't really speak to that, but and a lot of this stuff too is it's in kind of the old literature and psychoanalysts and like Jung, and Freud, and but Jordan Peterson, he does a really good job of distilling it all and presenting it in a way that the average person can apply to their life. So I'd highly recommend checking his stuff out. 12 Rules for Life. I bought 2 copies of that book and read it twice. I'm on my 3rd go through. And then I also got Maps of Meaning, which is a lot more dense. But I think 12 Rules for Life was... There he is! Redux. Ooh, I think I yellow lined the vocals there. Sorry if that was too loud. I have no ways of seduction, man. That is one area of my life that, while I'm better now, I lacked. Yeah, does that make sense? Yellow lined? Like where the gain of the audio is in the yellow? Not red, so it's not the worst, but... Okay, perfect. I don't think I've ever uttered that phrase. So you know why I don't... I'm kind of spitballing right now, but I don't think I've ever been good at seduction because I can't... Or I shouldn't say I can't, but I have always been horrible at lying. And not to say that in order to seduce someone you have to lie, but maybe you do. I don't know. That's an interesting question. Yeah. Well, what's the dictionary definition of seduction? Let's see. No, I don't want the adult entertainment store. I want the definition. My God, you put... What is this? I just... Good Lord. Maybe I should put seduce. There you go. Entice someone into sexual activity. Attract someone to a belief or into a course of action that is inadvisable or foolhardy. Or attract powerfully. No. Well, I put in, because I use Google define a lot, the keyword, where you just put define, colon, and then a word. But I put define seduction. And the first page was just like all these adult entertainment stores and whatever. But I should have put seduce. Yeah, see, so a synonym is actually persuade to have sex. So I think I was on the right track there. Because a lot of the time that persuasion, I imagine it likely involves some sort of manipulation or lying. Because if you already have their love and affection, you wouldn't need to entice them into it. It would just be sort of a natural progression. Oh, I can do it again. Yeah, the first thing that comes up for me, well, I mean, it's also location based, so there's actually places in they're not nearby, but anyway. Yeah, but I think the crucial distinction there is that with seduction, you don't need affection. Like, it can just be purely I don't know, hollow or to achieve a certain motive. All right, because affection, again, looking at the dictionary definition of affection, is a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. Yeah, that's why I'm looking up the actual word. And hello to anyone just joining in. As per usual, theme of the stream is something related to calisthenics or jump rope, but we are actually talking about something completely different. But anyway, yeah, affection, the dictionary definition is a gentle feeling of fondness or liking. Whereas seduction can just be purely, it can be evil. It could be sort of like someone who's an opportunist or pragmatist could just use it to achieve a certain end. Anyway, yeah. So Redux, I don't know that I actually have any ways of seduction. Or maybe I do, they're just buried. Yeah, I guess it could be that as well, if that, according to the definition of seduction, if that persuades them to do it, then yeah, I suppose. Yeah. Well, there you go. There's that truth, right? That truth and clarity. But it also needs to be considered that even if a person hears the truth, they may not actually be ready for it or be able to process it. Well, hello, Peaches the Pirate. What's so good about jump rope? You know what? I don't actually know. I could go through the cookie cutter. Oh, it's great for your cardiovascular health. It builds foot speed and coordination and proprioception, and has the benefits of anxiety relief and weight loss. It'll burn your fat in less than 10 minutes. So I could go through all those things, but I don't. If I were actually to be truthful about it, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it does those things that I mentioned, but it's a minimalist way to, I don't know, get in better shape and build confidence. And I'm all about minimalist training. So, I mean, that's what's good about jumping rope. However, if you are interested in all of those things that I said earlier, they are good things, and I don't mean to downplay them. But, yeah, just real talk. So are you new to jump rope? Do you do it a lot, or are you a master? Peaches. And the snowflake beside the name. You know what? It does give me an excuse to carry a rope around. Makes me feel cool, a little more confident. And it's just such a simple way. Well, there you go. Yeah, the most useful item in the world. It's such a simple way to be active. Oh, hey, no, curiosity is welcomed here. Well, I've done both. So actually, the reason I got into jump rope was because I was heavily into endurance running. This is going back 7 years. However, I was having issues just with my knees, and I didn't really know how to stretch properly, and I wasn't putting the time in to do those things. So I decided to stop running. And I thought, well, I need to maintain a level of cardiovascular health, so how will I do that? And I found the jump rope, and that's when I started, using it. So, but now I happen to be back into endurance running. Still early, it's only been a couple weeks. But they're very different. I think, I don't know, it's hard to say, but jump rope has a lot of skill aspect to it. So the unfortunate thing for a lot of people, if they pick one up, is they don't really acknowledge or respect the skill aspect of it enough, and either drop it altogether after failing, or they'll stick with it, which is awesome, but then develop bad habits and not really learn how to do it effectively, because a huge part of jump rope, at least getting the most out of it, is efficiency. So I would say that there's that aspect of the skill aspect is pretty daunting at the beginning. Whereas running, I mean, it's also very challenging. However, most people, I would say, can just begin to run, and then they're more worried about the endurance part of it. And then conditioning the legs, the tendons, all that kind of thing. But they're not really worried too much about the running side of it per se. They're more worried about, okay, well, how I need to train myself to be able to run for a certain amount of time or distance or whatever. So with rope, you kind of have to go through this phase where you just develop a base level of skill first, to where really you can just jump over the rope. And then I'd say even go one or two further and, you know, understand what proper technique is, and then you can get a lot more out of it. Because honestly, if you just learned the bounce step and alternate step, which are just fundamental techniques, you can get a lot out of rope just with those two things. So that's how I'd compare. I mean, if I were to go off the top, that's how I would think of running versus jump rope. But you develop also really great things as well through jump rope, like that kind of list that I went through earlier. Of course, you're using your upper body and hand-eye coordination, wrists, fine mechanical skills. The one with this one with kind of like the Middle Eastern vibe. This is from Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, cool. I recommend jump rope videos. Yeah, I mean, I would highly recommend doing it. First, because you don't need much to get into it. But if you're just starting out, the first thing I would say is first establish what you want to get out of the rope. So, are you looking to develop speed? Do you want to incorporate power jumping? You know, like double unders, triple unders, that kind of thing. Or do you want to condition the upper body a little more when you're using a rope? So, are you going to want weighted handles or a weighted rope? So establish what you want out of it, or are you just going to basically keep it cardio? You're not really looking to do any tricks or, you know, that kind of thing. I love doing tricks and power jumping. So those are the two areas that I focus on a lot. So I have a rope that I tend to use for those things. And then the second thing would be really setting yourself up for success as early as possible by finding a rope and then adjusting it to your height. So, I mean, I can kind of go over it now. Really, essentially what you want to do, I also did a vlog on this as well. I think it's vlog number 2, which you can, it's actually on YouTube. I think it's definitely on the Facebook page, Elevate Your Craft. But essentially what you do is you want the, give me a sec, I'll grab a rope and I'll show you. All right, so this is the rope that I use. Oh, hat trick here, hey man. Yeah, this is the rope that I prefer. And I mean, down the line, the plan is to actually, you know, do live stuff, but I'm just sort of getting my feet wet with this whole experience. Yeah, so this is the rope that I use. It's a long handled rope, very light handles, they're plastic. But because I do a lot of crossbody tricks, and I like to challenge my grip a lot in rope, pretty much always, just to develop the power in the wrists, because that's really, really important. But yeah, this is it. So what you do is you remove all the slack in the rope, and then you step on it with, at the middle of the rope, you just step on it with one foot, and then you want to pull the rope up while you're standing on it with the one foot with no slack in it. And then you want the bottoms of the handles to align with the tops of your shoulders. So like right here. So you're pulling it taut with your foot, you're standing up straight, and then you want the ends of the handles to align with the top of the shoulder. And then as you get better, what you can do, you can shorten it to kind of like armpit, and then you can even go sort of below the chest. But the shorter the rope, the less room for error you have, and usually people that do that focus on speed. Like they do a lot of sprints, and RPMs are a very heavy focus of their workouts. Oh, cool. I actually just signed up for a marathon too. This one will be in May. Well, I guess as you can see on the screen there, but yeah, another way you can do it is, which is pretty similar, is if you step in the middle of the rope with both feet, and then you can pull the handles up to either armpit. So if once again, the ends of the handles, if they align with the bottoms of the armpit, then you're around the same. I always did the one where you step on it with one foot in the middle of the rope, pull it taut, and then align it with the tops of the shoulders. So that is really important to set up from the start, because if it's too long, then what it forces you to do is lift your hands up in order to kind of compensate for the length of the rope, and then that'll modify your technique. You'll get tired, it's just not efficient. And then if you keep doing it for longer and longer, you'll develop bad habits, and you'll catch a lot more. The rope will bounce off the ground because it's too long. Okay, Peaches. You've been working on your run times so people see you as being normal. What does that mean? Three minutes, yeah, okay. That's definitely doable. That's awesome. That sounds pretty cool. And then Extra Life's marathon in December. Are you going to like try and raise money or anything like that, or is this gonna just a personal goal? I mean, I gotta say, it's back when I ran a lot more. I never did a full marathon. I did 2 half marathons. But there is, especially when you do a race or a run, like I always felt weird calling it a race because I'm not actually racing anyone. I don't care too much about my time, or I never have. I mean, maybe if I get more and more into it now, I'll just go for PBs or personal bests and that kind of thing, but I never really compared my times to anyone else's. But there is a euphoria in running, and I don't think it's exclusive to it at all. I think it's just one way of channeling it. But I remember, especially when you get into the last couple miles or kilometers, depending on how you measure, and then if it's at a marathon or a half or whatever, and there's people there, they're cheering, it feels real good. And then you feel all tired and broken and whatever. It just gives you a second win that's pretty amazing. And Patrick, yeah, no problem, man. No problem. I hope I can answer any questions that you have to your satisfaction. And then if I don't know, I'll just be honest and I'll tell you. I don't know, because I definitely don't know everything. Oh, I see. Okay. Well, that sounds pretty incredible. Good for you. That is awesome. One day she'll definitely know, yeah. Leave the legacy. Push yourself, achieve it, live the example. Make a record of it, document it, and then show her this is what you can achieve if you set your mind to it. You see it, or I saw it every now and then in calisthenics videos where, you know, you see kind of the typical stuff, but then every now and then you'll catch a video of a person in a wheelchair that's doing the most insane stuff, like, you know, pull-ups and whatever you can think of with the upper body, and it's really amazing. But I know what you mean now. As far as I certainly can't relate, and you know, I don't want to imply that I'd understand, but I can definitely appreciate it, it as a challenge and something that, you know, appearing normal can be a great challenge as well. Cycling, I do want to give cycling a shot. I mean, I've pondered triathlons, but I guess I'm just not there. I'm not there right now. Maybe one day. I can only do so much. Oh, I love this song. Patrick, how's the muscle up record going? You hit 20?
Dear Diary, today my heart leapt when Agent Scully suggested spontaneous human combustion.
It is always a pleasure to hear Fox Mulder's voice. So is the Extra Lives Marathon represents something that's close to your heart, or a cause that you really want to contribute to? I changed up the video here. This one's a rope fundamentals one. So, you know, this one just demonstrates some of the fundamental techniques that anyone new to rope would greatly benefit from. And then the final two, which are the side swing and the double under. If you want to go beyond those techniques and then access sort of like intermediate level and then most definitely advanced, the side swing and double under are crucial. And that's the same rope that I showed there. It was a different version of it, but it's the 9-inch handles as well. I actually like the white rope that I have in that video. It's a little softer, a little bit lighter. And I'll probably have to change this one up again soon. And also the handles look like they're starting to snap. Mid-back, I've been using child's pose for the most part. But before I do that, I have one of those right here. One of these, just a hard ball. If you found like a lacrosse ball or something, I put it on my mid-back and then I lie down on it just to help the muscles release, and then I'll do child's pose. Downward dog as well for mid-back. The lower back, I do a medley of things. So the routine I have now, what do I do? I do runner's lunge, and I hold each stretch for about 4 minutes. Runner's lunge, well, I start with calves, so I just put a yoga block just down there. I don't know if you can see, yeah, you can see the yoga block right there. But anyway, I just put that on the ground and then put my the balls of my feet on that and then stretch out the calves. And then I'll do the hamstring, and I'll involve the calf with one of these strap, just to pull the foot forward so I can get a good calf stretch. And then the big thing for me was the hips for lower back, the glutes. So I do 90-90s. How would I even describe those? Yeah, Trunch, I'll have to come up with something for you to... It's kind of dark and whatnot. I'm supposed to demonstrate them, but... back bridge is awesome for your lower back. I do those. And then anything with a figure 4, too, so where you kind of lie on your back, bring your knee forward, and then put your other leg in the figure 4 position on the knee. And then pull the knee forward. Really, it's the glutes and the outer hips. Like anything like that, anything with a figure 4 position. What else? Yeah, back bridge. and then just general quad stretches. So the Old Faithful, like you said, you're kind of stand there, grab the ankle, and then stretch out the quad. But it all sort of works together to ease up the tension in the lower back. I mean, they're called 90-90s. Let me see. Oh, yeah, perfect. Okay. Yeah, all right, Trunch. So if you just search 90-90 stretch, like 90/90, you'll find it is the first. And there's a lot of results. So that's the one I do a lot of. So that was awesome for my for hip mobility. But for me, my biggest issue was sitting. I just sit way too much. So the bigger factor was my glutes. So I've had to do stuff to just activate them, like back bridges. I'll do my best to activate them and strengthen them because they were weak. It's better now. Still not 100%. Peaches, you mentioned something. Every December they have the marathon. Oh, awesome. Okay. It's such a great way to actually motivate and fuel your training, but then also add meaning to it as well. Good for you. That's awesome. Let me know how your training goes. I can certainly relate. I'm in the midst of it now. Did my first 10K run last night, and I'm a little sore. Gotta condition myself once again. Fortunately, I've maintained a lot of my cardiovascular capability. I'm actually quite pleasantly surprised at my capabilities. It's more the joints and tendons and muscles that are lacking for that specific activity that I need to bring up to par. But it'll get there. Have a little bit of time. But I made sure to actually sign up and pay. That way I didn't leave any room. Committed. So Trunch, yeah, let me know. Did you hear when I mentioned the 90-90? I just want to make sure you heard me, because that's the one that I was talking about. Oh, Patrick, you still there? Let me know if you're still there, because I got that triple under video that I could show you. I know we were talking about it last time. If so, I will throw it up. Okay, cool. Yeah, so even this video here, the one that's playing now, where I'm doing the double under, you can kind of see the difference in the height. So if you look at how high I jumped there for the triple, I probably have 4 or 5 inches more height just to get the triple under there. Whereas a double under, you know, that might be where you start with a double under. You know, you jump higher in order to compensate for a lack of speed and strength in the wrists. So my goal here would be, if I want to improve my triple under, I mean, I'd probably have to go to a different rope in all honesty, because even in this one, I'm using the long handles. So I probably want to go with like 4-inch handles or something like that, very light aluminum or plastic. And I mean, I could keep a poly rope, I suppose, but you could even go with like a steel cable rope, and that will make it a lot easier. I'd get more speed. But I like to torture myself and use a more difficult rope. But anyway, that's a demo. And this is a little while back, so I wonder how I am now. I'm probably a little bit better, but I don't do a lot of triples in all honesty. So anyway, hopefully that helps. And you kind of get where I was coming from last time. I know we were talking about how to improve your double under. Oh, and then I have yeah, I imagine that's a big challenge. Kind of have to find something that would, kind of like you said, just absorb the impact as much as possible. That's really cool, though. Good luck with the grant and the sponsorship. You know, and I don't imagine those prosthetics are by any means cheap. I mean, now that I think about it, I have no idea where to even start when it comes to cost for something like that. I have no frame of reference whatsoever. I'm gonna try, one sec. Let's see if I can get that video of kind of featured it in a vlog I did, but the 100 consecutive double unders. It's a really good way to demonstrate just why efficiency is so important. Bear with me, I'll see if I can find it. I mean, it's definitely on the Facebook page, but I should probably learn how to do that. Or I could probably just play it right off of the Facebook page. But it's all about starting with double unders, man. And even before that, it's single unders. But once you get a good grasp on double unders, and then sprints are also pretty valuable too, because they'll help a lot in generating and developing wrist strength and power. And then also finding a rope that's more conducive to that scenario too. Or you can, make it a little more challenging by using a rope that's not quite optimal for the job, but there it is, okay. It's not HD, but 80 grand, oh my goodness. Wow. Well, I remember, I should say, I don't remember the guy's name. I know he was the subject of a lot of controversy fairly recently, but the guy they nicknamed Blade Runner, I believe, where he had both legs. He had the hook. If I'm correct, I think that's what you're describing. But then he got all caught up in domestic issues, I believe, but a computer-controlled knee, interesting. Wow. Okay, so my suspicion that it was not cheap is definitely true. What was I looking for? Okay. Okay, and you mean you wouldn't wear normal running shoes with a prosthetic, sort of like, I guess Terry Fox, he had the prosthetic with the running shoe. So is that what you mean by saying you aren't going to wear normal tennis shoes while running, not if you're serious? So I don't imagine that system would absorb the shock very well. Oh, okay, I see. Yeah. Movies back up. Yes, that's the one. Yeah, what was his name? I do have the power of the internet here. Honor Olympics. Oscar Pistorius. South African, yeah. Hmm. Yeah, I'll have to look for that one. Yeah, I'll find it for next time. Any trick that you do, I mean, even if it's not a double under or a power jump, like going back to the, where was it? The video I previously had there. Being able to perform it once is one thing, but then the real test is if you can perform it consecutively, like multiple times. Because that really tests your mechanics and technique. Like in this video, I do multiple crossovers consecutively. And that changes the dynamic drastically because you're using the outside, you're rotating in a different direction, and you're doing so under different conditions. The leverage is less favorable, all those kinds of things. So if you really want to test your capabilities on something, try and perform it multiple times consecutively. It's a really good way to do it. Yeah, they're definitely a little more shaky for me than just the forward rotation double under. But, like anything, I mean, you're flipping it backwards, so it's a whole new, I mean, it's not a whole new game. You obviously apply skills and techniques that you already know, but you have to reorient yourself. So, I mean, it takes time, but I wouldn't, before achieving that, I wouldn't even try it unless I was pretty confident in just regular bounce step and alternate step with backwards rotation. It's so tough to say. I mean, how would they even test that? I mean, I don't know how, let's see. An advantage, I mean, the prosthetics, I would think, are highly, highly unlikely to fail, where you can break an ankle or something like that. but then you've got the impact, and then the, I don't know, the bounce, or the, how would you describe it? I guess the push of the push off of the prosthetic that you can't really control. So I'm curious as to where they think the advantage would lie. Is it maybe that there's some sort of conditioning advantage, or are you working harder? Yeah, I'm not quite sure. It is interesting to think about, though. But I would think it would have also been ideal to actually perform those tests in a professional and thorough way before the Olympics. I mean, before the competition. But then at the same time, would it be the case that you're preventing someone who wants to compete from competing because of a disability that they have? So I imagine that's something to consider also. Yeah, I see what you're saying. More steps to get the same distance. Oh, so really that's all the reference they had. So this person from the 80s, I guess, was the first. I don't know if you could call it like, I mean, set a precedent, I guess. But if it seems like it's pretty unexplored territory. So you'd have to, I mean, go through a fair amount of analysis and that kind of thing to actually understand what you're working with. Yeah, but I mean, if that's all they looked at, that seems quite short-sighted. And who knows, maybe they're thinking, well, what do we even do? How do we approach this? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, that'd be a tough one to approach. I'm not quite sure how it would be done. I mean, what would that really determine? I mean, even watching someone else, I don't know that you'd glean that much from it. Because I imagine it would be, you know, for someone if they are in the same condition, but or you know, had a different body composition otherwise, it would be all different. I don't know that you'd get much out of looking at a tape like that. Especially, like you said, from a VHS tape. God, good old VHS. What used to be the gold standard. Remember buying Star Wars in that fancy case? Oh yeah. Good old VHS. Well, I mean, really, in essence, what it's about is pushing beyond your current capabilities. You know, pushing yourself to be a better person than you were yesterday. You know, whatever the disability or advantage or disadvantage. And it sounds like that's something that you're doing, which is awesome. And in a specific manner, too. I mean, with clear goals. Well, I guess I don't have that arm wraps video. Interesting. Well, I guess I do some arm wraps in this video that's playing. Oh, that one was pretty sloppy. Arc was way too wide. Rotation was poor. But anyway, arm wraps are one technique that when I actually first discovered them was amazing. It just blew the doors wide open on my training. So if you've got the baseline level of skills and you're looking for something saucy, look into arm wraps. It's a transitional technique that the possibilities are endless. Oh, and side swings. You gotta have side swings in your repertoire before you tackle the arm wrap. Um, is it the marathon or the month I'm running the marathon in that you're curious about, or both? I can give you both, I guess. I've always wanted to run a marathon. I've only conquered the half marathon thus far, and that just happened to be the closest date. So that's really all. The time frame was okay. No, no, there's no significance to the date. It just happened to be the closest one. And I think that's enough time for me to train sufficiently for it. I mean, I'm really gonna see how this goes as far as the running. I would love to explore greater distances, in the future. Kind of like 30 miles, even 50 miles. But at this point, that's ambitious, but that's okay. We'll see. First, I have to take it a bit slower. First, conquer the marathon, and then I want to get a handful of those under my belt, and then just see if it's something that I want to continue with, something I like to do, and challenge myself. There's something to putting yourself through trying physical tasks. Oh yeah, no, that's okay. I mean, I was kind of thinking out loud with that comment. I mean, I think no matter how you slice it, we are one big kinetic chain. And when you have something that doesn't connect to that kinetic chain in a way that I don't know, how do I word it? I don't want to say that it's not meant to, but when there's a disruption in that chain, let's put it that way, there's going to be something that suffers or has to compensate. So, and you mentioning the hip, yeah, I mean that's a big one. And I mean, there's that also. I imagine there's less control. There's something there that's helping you do what you want to do. However, that the articulation's gone, the fine movement, the particulars, the small things. And part of it too, I know I try to do it every time even not only in exercise, but just kind of acknowledging, mid-run or whatever, it's like my body can actually do this. That's something to be grateful for. Ah, Oh, the hip. I mean, you hear about people that just where their hip will just deteriorate. You know, and they have their legs, whether that's, you know, neglect or something like that. I mean, there's more to it, I'm sure, but the hip's a funny one. Oh, it's responsible for so much. And that's got to be heartbreaking. You make it so far, and yeah, I don't. I'm trying to. I'm trying to think of how to even consider this or put myself in those shoes, and I just can't. It's got to be such a challenge. Now, once again, I mean, something to be grateful for. Got this body, so I'm gonna use it. And it's interesting because now I'm probably 15 to 20 pounds lighter than I was back when I was initially doing the long distance running. And I mean, with the amount of time between, it's hard to look back and actually remember what it felt like, you know, being 15, whatever it was, 15 to 20 pounds heavier. But it's definitely advantageous for running, that's for sure. I know now I've got to drill down a little bit on my actual technique, because my right leg, there's something going on there. Sort of the way I'm landing and positioning my foot. So that's gonna have to be addressed. And that's awesome. I mean, we're built to overcome. You know, however you consider it, evolution, or we are meant to overcome. You know, and I think it would be a shame for someone in a similar position to think or believe that they couldn't do those things. Of course, within the physical limits, you know. That is really cool. And you know, physical limitations are one thing, something that's perhaps more visibly apparent. But you know, I think we're all trying to appear normal in some way or another. Whether it's in how we conduct ourselves or the outfit we wear, or in some regard, I think we're all trying to appear normal. Oh, that's good. I think, hey, Trunch, what's up, man? I think the emphasis on losing weight always seems to be the first thing that people think of, but I mean, even that's not the best way to think of it. Generally, it's, well, no, I mean, you don't necessarily want to lose weight, you want to change your body composition. Because, you know, if you were 10 pounds heavier, but your body fat percentage went down to this, and, you know, I would suspect that you'd be okay with that. Peaches and I were just discussing running and running with a physical disability and that kind of thing. With the disco kitten emote. You're running away from the cardio. Oh, I'm getting into a real nice now. Feels good, man. And that's only one way to actually channel it, right? I mean, I think there are a lot of different ways you can do it, but part of the appeal is the mental side of things and that discomfort. Feels good, man. And just pushing through that discomfort and coming out the other side a better person. Pepe, is that frog? Is that where Feels Good Man came from? Or Feels Bad Man? Let's look up Pepe the Frog. Oh, okay, so that's where it came from, I see. Oh, man. Memes. I believe it was Richard Dawkins that actually coined the word meme in regards to genetics. The Selfish Gene, by the way, is an amazing book. Just as a little aside there. My 1 mile time. Let's see. Because I also run on a treadmill, so I can kind of probably gauge. I haven't measured that yet, but based off of the times that I've run on the treadmill, I'd start off fairly slow, so I think it'd be probably a 10-minute mile, something like that, 10 to 11 minutes. But that, as I'm getting closer, because I steadily increase, so I think last night, if I remember correctly, I'm thinking maybe 6 minutes or so.
Tap the banner now to get 3 whole months for 99 cents.
The Roger Bannister of cars. That was the guy that did the 4-minute mile, right? Roger Bannister? Yeah. Yeah, okay. The man that did what was supposedly impossible. Yeah, so I don't actually have an accurate one right now, but I'm gonna measure that. So next time you're around, I will tell you what it is, because I actually want to know. A 1-minute mile, oh boy. I wonder what. 3 minutes and 43 seconds is the current men's mile. That is so fast. It's unbelievable. And I was thinking today, even the world record marathon time. Two hours and 1 minute to run 42 kilometers or 26.2 miles. That is unbelievable. I just, wow, that's next level. There you go, Peaches. That's quite the story. I think so much of that is the mental side of things, because you've got people that, whether they're doctors or whoever, they'll almost say that because they don't want to, maybe to put or to instill what they think is false hope, or I'm not even sure, or say something that, I guess maybe the false hope thing where they'll say, oh no, you'll achieve this, so you'll do this, and then they don't end up doing that. And I don't know. But that's amazing. Good for you. Yeah, no, 2 hours and 1 minute, so close. It's actually 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds. Oh, it was actually this year that it was achieved. 2 hours, 1 minute, and 39 seconds is the, yeah, according to Runner's World. Eliud Kipchoge from Kenya. Oh, yeah, that's what I was thinking earlier, and I'm so blown away at the speed. His pace was 4 minutes and 38 seconds per mile. That is so cool. 26.2 miles or 42 kilometers. 42 and change. I think it's 42.1 or something like that. Kilometers. I should probably move chat here. There we go. Yeah, and it was achieved this year. No, it's, yeah, I mean, the race is 26.2. So it's about half of that. Yeah, because the full race is 26.2 miles. If you did it in 2 hours, it's about 13 something. Which is which is still awesome. And I wonder what this guy weighs. Probably 100 pounds. Yeah. Yeah. That is pretty awesome. He's about a minute 18 seconds faster than the second place. And then the female record is 2 hours and 15 minutes by Paula Radcliffe from Great Britain. In London in 2003. Oh yeah, is she a celebrity? What? Ah, there you go. She had to just take care of some business in order to keep going. Oh, the struggle. Ah, yes. The 100 meter. Oh, I haven't run a 100 meter since high school. Sprint, to clarify. So I've certainly run 100 meters. I mean, there's certainly a cost to this. I mean, they're showing a picture of the gentleman here, and there's so little muscle mass. I don't know that I can drop that much muscle mass. I'd like a nice balance. Yeah, I can go out, run a good amount, but then I also want to be able to pull a nice deadlift. Actually, I don't really bench much. I do a lot of push-ups, a lot of different types of push-ups. With a good mix of very difficult push-ups, but also a healthy amount of less difficult push-ups. And just thinking of going that quickly is stressful. Yeah, my training's shifted over more to getting as much volume in as I can. Within a certain time frame. Or even actually just picking a number and then achieving it in the smallest time frame that I can. But I don't really worry too much about that. So, like 50 pull-ups, for example. One arm, no. No. I mean, I can hang with one arm. And then maybe pull myself up an inch or something. Or I never worked on that one too much. Yeah, I can levitate, in other words. But I can do, the ones that I do that are closest, I guess, would be uneven pull-ups. So the ones that I think actually are in the Rocky movie where you grip the bar like this, and then you grab the arm with the other and pull yourself up that way. That's, well, I mean, I guess closer would be like self-supported one-arm pull-ups, where I'd kind of hang from the bar, and then with the other arm I'd kind of grip the frame of the pull-up bar or something just to kind of support myself. Nothing beats leg raises and L-sits. Love them. And the more you can actually integrate them into whatever you're doing, the better, as far as I'm concerned. They do shift the dynamic of the pull-up a little bit because your center of gravity is shifting forward a bit. Yeah. Yeah, I've never tried that actually, going just lower, but it makes sense. But yeah, I throw in 3 of those at a time on the tail end of a pull-up workout or something, and then I'll do 5 sets of 3, something like that. But I don't kill myself in exercises anymore. I mean, I shouldn't say that. Every now and then I do, but I'm more interested in not being sore so I can work out almost every day and then just maximize the volume that I get. Yeah, push-ups, pull-ups, and squats, and just the fundamentals. I mean, you can get a lot out of calisthenics. But even if you're able to do like inverted rows, where you're under the bar, it's more of a rowing motion. I mean, you're under the bar with pull-ups too, but where you kind of, they're also called Australian pull-ups. They're different motions, but they can help develop the pull-up as well. Yeah, Trunch, that's a great idea. I'm going to try that. And then I also got to try with overhand grip too. I mostly do underhand, but I wouldn't mind getting some more overhand in too. Not really. Not current anyway. I read a lot about it, but it's in a historical context. But as far as today's politics, no. Like the goings on, I usually read the news every day, so I do see kind of the headline type stuff. Nah, man, just send it over. It's all good. I'll check it out. No harm in that. You never know, I may enjoy it. Cool, I got the link. I got you, I got you. And Peaches, I will let you know my 1 mile time, because I'm curious about that as well. But I do think I must take my leave at this point. I have at least an hour of stretching to do. So, thanks very much, guys, for hanging out. This conversation has been quite compelling, I must say. What was that other video? Oh, arm wraps. I gotta find that too. Trunch, you got the 90-90s thing? The stretch? What I mentioned it before? This is when you were asking about lower back stretches. But that's a really good one. Ah, and I didn't even mention the cool word of the stream this whole time. Escutcheon. Sourced from the book right above The Origins of Totalitarianism, which means a shield or emblem bearing a coat of arms, or second definition of a flat piece of metal for protection, or ornamentation around a keyhole, door handle, or light switch. There you go. So that's your word for today. Anywho, Peaches, it was good to meet you. I do hope to see you around again, as well as everyone else that has been around. I do appreciate it very much. Have an awesome night, morning, wherever and whenever it is for you. And I will catch you next time. See you later.